Our Love Show, sponsored by the D.D. Jackson Foundation, where we shine a light on loss and grief and how it impacts our lives. We are here to provide hope, resources, and a community so no one feels alone in their grief. Enjoy the show. Welcome to the Power of Love Show, sponsored by the D.D. Jackson Foundation. We are here to provide hope, resources, and a community so no one feels alone in their grief. I am TJ Jackson. With me is my eldest brother, Taj Jackson.
What's up, T?
What is going on, Mr. Taj? Of course, for anyone who is watching us, we are live on Facebook and YouTube. You may also be listening to us on our podcast, which is available on all major podcast platforms. We like to say, if you are enjoying it, please consider subscribing, leaving a review. It helps other people who may need our content discover us. It helps the algorithms, and that's pretty much for all the platforms, YouTube, Facebook, and the podcast. So just want to encourage you, if you are familiar with our show and you've watched it and are enjoying it, to consider doing so. We are not licensed therapists. We are just ordinary people who've experienced loss in our lives. We've been impacted by it, and we've learned from it. Saying that, we want to make sure that if you need professional help, we urge you to seek it and to find it, because we like to share our opinions in an attempt to help you overcome and get through things you're going through, but we aren't the professionals. So make sure you, if you're feeling the need to get help in any way, to find a professional that can do so. Taj Jackson, I think that was the intro. I should know this since we're on shows in the hundreds, but assuming I didn't miss anything, I'll start here. How was your week? Anything exciting going on in Taj's world? I cannot hear you, my friend.
That would, yeah. I was thinking about it, and I think that I don't remember much going on in the week. I'm kind of looking forward to Halloween. That's kind of been the trajectory for me, because Halloween's my favorite holiday. So I'm thinking forward, not back, actually.
Taj, do you know what you're going to be for Halloween?
No, that usually happens right about now, because I still can make shipping dates. But it's all based on that. I don't know, TJ. I want to be something cool that, that's different. And, there's a family aspect to it too. So we got to figure that out. Do you have an idea
of what I'm going to be?
Yeah.
I don't, but usually my wife, Frances, picks exactly what she wants the family to be, and then we go from there. So we usually follow the family kind of a family path, and we try to dress up, and it's actually more enjoyable, I think, doing that. But it's still early. We just hit October, so we have time, so I'm not too worried about it. Taj, by the way, I'm highlighting some for those of you who may be listening to us. I'm hiding some of our super stickers and super chats. For instance, George says, TJ and Taj, through your testimonies and sharing, you've brought me more healing than any therapist ever would or could. I urge everyone to listen and follow. This is so beautiful, George. I want to thank you for not only the super chat, but for that comment.
Yes,
here at DDJF, nobody is paid. We are doing this out of our hearts. We want to help others who may be going through hardship. We both lost our mother at very young age. So we want to do something to help maybe someone who's going through difficult times. We want to help you guys get through it. So that's the whole mindset of the entire DDJF family. And seeing your kind of comment, George, makes us feel like we're doing what we're supposed to be doing. So a big thank you to you. But yes, this is a way for any of you guys out there who want to support the D.D. Jackson Foundation. You can do these super stickers and super chats. And for everyone that has so far, not only on today's video, but in the past, we want to thank you guys. It truly means a lot to us, and it helps us do what we like to do. Not only this show, but our music therapy classes and our other functions that we do for people who've been dealing with loss. Todd, it sounded like you were going to say something.
No, I'm just so appreciative, really. Yeah. We take a lot of pride in this foundation. So you guys being part of it's really important to us. And
perfectly said, Taj. Okay, so Taj, nothing was too exciting in my week. It's the beginning of October, and that's where we usually will start to kind of figure out what our plans are for not only, dressing up in the Halloween festivities, but also for actually a Halloween day and the DDJF Foundation. It's a big weekend for us. So, do we have any news that we should be sharing publicly regarding that weekend, or not yet?
Not yet.
Not yet. Taj came right away and said, "Not yet." Thank you, Michal, for a second sticker too. By the way,
Third, but yeah.
Third?
Yeah, there's one way above that she did.
Oh,
So.
Well,
Don't worry, that's my job. Like to fact check you.
Okay. All right. Well, Taj, nothing else was too exciting in our world. So if it's okay with you, I'd love to start doing the introduction for our amazing special returning guest. Is that okay with you?
Yes.
All right. Taj gives me the green light, so here it goes. On today's episode of the Power of Love show, we welcome back a very, 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 very special guest, Amelia Green, who first joined us in October of 2020, to discuss understanding and accepting autism, as she not only holds a master's degree in autism and applied behavior analysis, but also because she has always been her son Alex's number one advocate on his journey with severe nonverbal autism. Amelia is back today to not only continue to raise awareness about autism, but also to discuss her journey of grief since tragically losing her son Alex in March of this year. Mm-hmm. Amelia Green has held and earned many titles in her life: friend, sister, daughter, wife, student, colleague, ex-wife, and most importantly, mother. When Amelia became a mother at 25, she found her life's mission in her little miracle. At a very early age, Amelia recognized that her son, Alex, was not developing typically and asked numerous professionals for help. Finally, after tireless advocacy and endless appointments, Alex was diagnosed with severe nonverbal autism at just 16 months old. The next few years brought endless growth and learning to support Alex and inspired Amelia to get her associate's, undergraduate, and finally a master's degree in autism and applied behavioral analysis. During these years, there was also the birth of two more beautiful sons who provided more inspiration and love, and a diagnosis of epilepsy for Alex. As the years passed, the love grew, but so did the challenges Alex faced every day. By 9 years old, his diagnosis had been changed to refractory medication-resistant epilepsy, and he was seizing almost daily. The following years brought countless specialist appointments, trips to the emergency room, and weeks spent in intensive care or in the hospital. Amelia began to focus on improving the everyday quality of life, not only for Alex, but also for her entire family. Mm-hmm. They found friends who became family, a beautiful home to make their own, and joy and happy memories in their community and around the country. Going to the beach as a family every year was a highlight. The pure joy of all three boys in the waves will never be matched. With the COVID-19 pandemic, the risk for Alex became greater, and the family focused even more on finding the joy, safety, and love in every day. But after years of fighting to keep him here, Alex was lost to a seizure during the night on March 7th, 2021, 2 weeks before his 14th birthday. The devastation of this loss has been felt far and wide, as Alex and his pure joy were so memorable that he touched endless lives. Mostly, he touched and changed Amelia's life for the better. After years of grieving for a living boy, she now had to face a life without her cause, without her compass, and without her reason. In the months that have followed, Amelia has woken up every single day intent on one mission: to find Alex-level joy in each and every day for Alex's brothers, Cameron and Bradley, and for herself. It is through perpetuating joy and love and fighting for quality of life for people with disabilities that Amelia keeps Alex and his legacy alive with her every day. Alex showed the world that love needs no words, and Amelia hopes to continue to teach his message and further his impact on the world by telling his story. Without further ado, please welcome the one and only Amelia Green to the Power of Love show. Amelia,
Thank you,
I,
my friends.
oh, it is so beautiful to see you again.
Yes.
As I said to you briefly before we went live, I don't have the best memory, but I do remember talking to you and you being on our show the first time. You just radiant love and positivity. You're warm. You just have a beautiful face and a beautiful vibe about you. Um, I want to send our biggest condolences from not only Taj and myself, but for our community, from the board, from our foundation, from each and every one of you. We just want to give you a huge hug and tell you that we love you and we are thinking of you.
Yes,
Um,
definitely.
Thank
I,
you.
I commend you so much for even joining us and sharing. Um, I can't, as I said to you before, I think you are going to help so many people by just being here and telling your story. So I want to thank you in advance for being here.
Yeah.
Okay, Amelia. So my first question is, what was it like when Alex was first diagnosed with severe nonverbal autism?
I think at first it was a relief. I knew something was the matter and it had no name. And it always helps to name that elephant in the middle of the room, right? So once we had a name for it, then it was, what can we do to help? So I think that was the first part of it. I immediately focused on, what can I do to help my boy, to help improve, what his life is going to look like. But I think another part of it is that was when the grief started. When you receive a diagnosis like that, you realize as a parent that you're going to miss out on some things, regardless of your child's abilities or where they struggle. With a diagnosis of autism, you're going to miss something. You're going to miss a driver's license. You're going to miss a first date. For me, it was bigger losses, not having words, not going to typical school, not having grade levels. It's those losses. So I think that was part of it in the beginning, was really realizing that was when the positivity started. That was when focusing on our happy and every day and not letting those challenges become our story.
Mm. How was it for you as a young mother? If you could take, you remember what it was like being 25 years old, and that's when Alex was born, when you were 25, right?
Mhm.
So I guess in the 25 to 26, how was it for you? What was emotion like for you when you're starting to realize these possible issues that Alex was having?
It's hard. I was the first one of my friends groups to have children, so I didn't even have the other children to compare my son to. This was really uncharted territory. So I think part of that was almost learning what was truly important. There's so much misinformation out there. And even, when Alex was diagnosed 13 years ago, it was very easy to get lost and to get, lost in that diagnosis and to kind of lose ourselves and our path. And I think that part of that was part of what was so important to me, especially in making room for us in this new way.
When you found out about the diagnosis, and then we may have talked about this in the last show, but I'm curious to know again for anyone who's watching it now, what was the challenging part for you, and how any advice for someone who may just be finding out their kid is diagnosed with autism. Marlene here says, we had our appointment for my son with the doctor for autism last week. He will pass some tests soon. Hope he will have a good help. So what would be your advice for people out there who may be learning of their kids having autism?
Follow your gut. There's no one doctor that knows your child more than you. If you go to that first doctor and they tell you something and you don't believe that that is true about your child, go and get another opinion. A doctor has a degree in medicine. They don't know your child. I went to so many doctors saying, I think something is wrong. And they kept telling me, you're neurotic, you're a first-time mom, relax, just enjoy him. And I kept going, yeah, I'm trying. I'm really trying to enjoy him, but I have to understand him to do that. So I think for me, it was, I just kept pushing. So, just keep pushing. Your child, what your family needs. Don't put that aside, and don't let anybody tell you, that that's not what you or your child needs. What your child needs. So be their best advocate.
I love that answer.
Yeah, that's a great answer. Did
Did
you know anything about autism at that point, or was it you were was that even an option to you, or did you have to study up on it?
So interestingly enough, my only exposure with autism to that point had been probably what most people had, those TV shows or Rain Man or, those exaggerated examples of what autism could be. And here I was, a first-time mom, and I'm going to be completely upfront and honest. I was sitting in the bathroom reading a parent's magazine that they'd sent me home from the hospital with. And there was an article in there, 10 signs your child has autism. And I read that article, and I looked at my 2-month-old sitting in the car seat, and I said, that's it. That's what it is. There's a name for all of my concerns. There are my concerns listed out on a sheet of paper. It's not me. I'm not crazy. I'm not a neurotic first-time mom. It's something real. And I ripped out that page, and I went back to the pediatrician the next month and said, look, I'm not crazy. Parents Magazine says I'm not crazy. And it still took, 4 more doctor's appointments, getting an evaluation. It's really hard with developmental milestones. He met all those milestones within that last little bit. If you were supposed to walk at 12 months, my boy walked at 12 months in a week. It was just always so close. But I knew. So it was, again, just that following my gut.
I have a question, Amelia. How did you navigate being a mom to 3 young boys? Every time I say 3 young boys, I think about my brothers and I. It's cool. Something about 3 boys is special. But how did you navigate being a mom to 3 young boys when Alex was first diagnosed with refractory medication-resistant epilepsy and was seizing daily? How did you maintain a balance for life for your family?
That's it's hard to sum that up. I think Alex did that for us. When I talk about Alex level joy, that was, Alex showed joy on such a pure, unadulterated level. He didn't have any of those societal constraints that hold us back from showing our true happiness and our true joy. And Alex showed us that, it's okay to show that. It's okay to be your own true happy self and to show your happiness in the ways that you feel it. So, on those days he had tough days, we knew that, there was going to be one moment in there where we could find that joy. And if we couldn't, I remember my youngest son being maybe a year old when Alex's epilepsy really became, an everyday occurrence. And I remember him coming in with a book, being like, I'm ready when Alex wakes up. Just ready, waiting for him to be there, waiting to give him that joy, because that was where we got our joy, was from him and from those moments in between. And I think another part of it was, taking care of ourselves, making sure each of my children had their time to do the things that made them happy, making sure that I had time. Time for yourself as a parent is difficult. We all know that. But, even taking that time when Alex would have those seizures, I didn't realize for the first 4 months until my other son told me that when he would seize, I would say, stay with me, stay with me, stay with me. And then finally comes over this little 6-year-old boy who says, why do you ask Alex to stay when he has those seizures? And I said, because I know sometimes it might be easier for him to leave. And I want him to know we're all here waiting for him when he comes back. And I think living that so many times, epilepsy it's a relentless condition. He would have days where it would just be seizure after seizure, but we always found a moment for that joy, for that celebration, for that gift of the life that Alex had outside of those moments.
Did you continue to say, stay with me throughout, like even when he was older as well? Or did you not use those terms as much? Or
I think it faded away because I didn't, it's the consciousness of the other children. That's part of it too. it was a difficult balance to make Alex not feel like a burden to his brothers, because he did have concerns. He did have needs. There were things that we couldn't do as a family because of safety concerns for Alex. And I think I worked really hard at, making them feel Alex's love in the way he could show it. He couldn't show love in the way, that other brothers can necessarily, which we know can look all sorts of ways, right, brothers? Mm-hmm. So, Alex showed love in his own way, and teaching my children that love can look differently. It doesn't have to be the same. It doesn't have to be the three brothers that you see on TV. And really, figuring out what was our family's joy. The ocean was our family's joy. The oceans we went to. I mean, we brought Alex as far as California. We did amazing things as a group. And that is what, that's what filled me. That's why I didn't have to use those words anymore, because, it wasn't that I didn't need him to stay. I still wish he had stayed. But I knew that our life was going to be full of so much joy that if he left, it would have been complete.
Sophia has a question. She wants to know, did you teach your other sons what to do when Alex had an epilepsy attack?
Not teach them so much, because I didn't want them to feel responsibility. But children are so naturally caring and so naturally empathetic, that they would come running with pillows, with blankets, with a glass of water. As part of his epilepsy treatment, Alex had something called a VNS put in, it's like a pacemaker for your brain. So when he would have a seizure, you swipe somebody with a magnet and it sets off this mechanism in their brain to try to stop the seizures. And I mean, my two little ones would fight over who was bringing the magnet to help Alex. They knew when Alex made that sound, it was time to get the magnet. It was time to get a pillow. It was time to get a tissue for mom, all of those things. I think we all found our role, and it helped us to work as a team to support Alex through those moments and to support each other.
That's beautiful. Marlene says, because my son is high potential, they didn't push to test autism, but I pushed because it's important for him to know and find a way to be okay with his difference. It's beautiful. Sarah says, hello, I don't know Amelia, but I'm sure you are a strong person. I am very sorry. I hope you have all the support. Very beautiful message. You're getting a lot of support, Amelia, from our community.
Thank you.
Now, a question. This is going to get a little more challenging. If you need us to stop, you tell us, okay? I want you to feel completely comfortable. How did you handle telling your other small children that their brother was no longer with us?
So my other children were actually home the morning that I found Alex. I think in a beautiful way, Alex got to go in his terms. He didn't leave us in a hospital. He didn't leave hooked up to a million machines. I put him to bed on a Saturday night. I kissed him. I, loved him up like I did every night. I told him how much I loved him. I put him to bed. And when I came back in the morning, he was gone. And I think, he did that for a reason. He had fought so many times to stay here for all of us. And I remember coming down the stairs, because I had to tell my other sons, that the ambulance was coming. But this time it wasn't just the ambulance. It was going to be the police. It was going to be... And people started pouring into my house. And, I can't say enough about the kindness of first responders and the police officers who came to our house. And, we have such amazing friends who are way more than friends, they're family. And we called those people and they came and held us that day. And, it's about team, raising a child with special needs and medical illness. It takes more than a village. It takes a city. Sometimes it takes more than one city. So, in that moment, I was lucky enough to have a whole city there to hold my boys and, to hold me at the same time. And I think the beautiful part was, my boys had been there through all of it. I was always very upfront and honest about, Alex has another appointment. Alex is in the hospital, this and that and the other. So I think we all realized how fragile Alex was and how lucky we were to have him. So I think, in a way, it was almost a relief that he wasn't going to go through that anymore, to think that he wasn't going to have another day, of the 30 seizures. He wasn't going to have another rush to the emergency room. I remember my youngest son saying, no more hospital, no more meds. Alex hates the meds, no more meds. So, I think it's not pushing them. It was not pushing them to process it. It was, just letting it be. Even now, if I start to cry, they'll come over and say, hey, are you crying about Alex? We miss him too.
Jess Marie, I think it may be a friend of yours. She's been, I've seen, she has several great comments, so keep them coming, Jess, and I'll keep highlighting it. But she said, I've said this a million times before, but Alex was so lucky to have you as his mom. And Amelia, I've been wanting to say this, and I was going to save it to the end, but I didn't want to miss this opportunity. It's so apparent how great of a mother you are and how blessed Alex and your other boys are to have you. You are a special, special person. For you to get a degree, any type of degree, just for you to further the education to learn about your son's situation is so amazing to me. I just want to commend you, and I know Taj is feeling the same exact way, that we just want to show that you are special, and don't ever forget that your kids are so blessed to have you. That's coming from us. It's
I just
super
got
important to
really
tell
lucky. I got really lucky to be given the most special boy who just taught me, to show love, to just believe in the positive and show the love.
I have another question for you. When you are trying to be this strong anchor, or when you're trying to support, when all your other family members, your sons, anyone else who loved Alex, and you're trying to be this rock for everyone, where did you draw strength from and support from during those first days and weeks? How did you get through your difficult times?
Besides all the alcohol and food that was dropped off at my door, I think, I think it, honestly, again, and I keep coming back to it, but it was Alex. He showed so much perseverance, the days that he got through, to live 13 years on this planet without having any words, without having any, understanding from other people. If my boy lived 13 years like that, and I mean, his service closed down our small town. There were, in the middle of COVID, we had over 100 people. He touched so many lives. This summer, I took my other sons camping, and we're on a beach in the middle of upstate New York, and somebody says, "Are you Alex's mom?"
Wow.
I had him on my bus when he was a baby, and I remember him rocking and sucking his thumb, and you rubbing his head when you got him off the bus. I mean, my boy was amazing. He was a miracle. So how could I possibly not be there for everybody else? Because he was always there for me through everything that we fought through. He always kept that smile on his face. So when I say Alex level joy, I may not be able to reach that level, but I want to bask in that reflection. And when I feel like I don't have the strength in me, I just think of that boy and the way that he, through his worst days, if I asked him for a kiss, and he would kiss me with his mouth open and teeth on teeth. I mean, but that was it. If he could do that, then I can do this. I can be there for my friends. I can be there for my sons. That's what it's all about.
It's beautiful. He's made an impact, and obviously not just in your life, but in the community. And that's, that's a beautiful, beautiful thing to always hold on to. It's what's helped us too, Amelia, with our mother. We would get people that, at least for me, that I didn't recognize or didn't know, and they would share a great story about my mother. And it's really warming to know that your loved one impacted so many. I hear you say Alex level joy. Is this a phrase that you have that you hold on to? Because I think it's really cool.
Yeah. Cool. We talk about this regularly in my house.
Love it. I love it. It's a beautiful way to always remember him and always have him with you. So please keep that going. Navigating life after such a big loss, of course, can be emotionally, mentally, and physically draining. How do you restore yourself when trying to be there for your boys, but also for yourself during, like, let's say, not just the first few days, months later? How are we doing this at this point now?
I think that's been a learning process. It's hard in the beginning. Everybody's there. You're surrounded. You're engulfed by people and all of their love and support. And as time goes on, you know, those people kind of fade away and you're just kind of left with your feelings. And I think for me, it's been about really realizing what I need for myself. You know, I was always somebody who was like, you know, I do self-care. It's been a rough week. I'll take a bubble bath, right? That's what the magazine tells me self-care is. Or, you know, I'll go get a massage, right? If I win on a lottery ticket, you know, all of these things. But after this happened, I came to realize that I wasn't caring for myself. I was caring for the surface. I wasn't doing what I really needed to leave me feeling fulfilled. So I think after I lost Alex, it was a time to really reevaluate, you know, everything in my life and realize what really I need to feel fulfilled, what Amelia needs, not Amelia, Alex's mom or Cameron's mom or Bradley's mom or, you know, somebody's friend. What do I need? And making sure that I get those things and not feeling bad about it. You know, if what I need is, you know, a glass of wine and a sleeve of Oreos for dinner one night, that's what I need for dinner one night, right? I mean, in every night thing, that's not okay, but every once in a while, that's okay. We don't have time to beat ourselves up for what makes us feel good. So I think that's been the main thing for me.
What made you, that's a big thing to realize. What made you realize that? Because some people just beat themselves up with guilt or grief.
I think again, it was, you know, I tried so hard not to ask for help with Alex. You know, we buckled down. Our home was built for Alex. It was Alex's house. You know, people would come to us. We wouldn't go out. It was so built around that I think it made me realize, you know, I'd been living so much for everybody else and really digging down deep and really thinking, even just as parents, we spend so much time focused on the well-being of others. And you think about that pouring from the cup analogy. And after Alex was gone, my cup was empty, but my kids still had to eat. You know, they still needed clean clothes. The garbage still had to go out. So it was really about, you know, this is what I have to do. I have to ask for help finally. And even beyond asking for help, I have to stop beating myself up for what I need. I deserve it. I'm worth it. I'm worth asking for help. I'm worth doing what I need to do for myself. I think it's about that. It's about realizing our own self-worth. And I think, you know, the pandemic too, we've all lived through something globally in the last 2 years, you know, the grief of that and realizing it's okay to ask for what you need. We all need things. That's how we all survive, is sustaining each other at the same time. If I can pour a little bit into your cup, then you can pour back to me when I need it.
Amelia, I commend you for not only recognizing that, but being able to articulate that. I feel like so many people takes forever to get there. What do you signal to being the reason how you are able to get to this point? Because I think you're 100% right, and it's a healthy perspective that you must have. What do you attribute to getting you there?
I mean, I think it was really my life completely falling apart. I mean, when I lost Alex, I really did lose my compass. I had built an entire life around the safety and the happiness of that boy. So, you know, and I had other life circumstances come up at the same time. I had a lot of things in my life change within a short amount of time. And it just made me realize the one thing that's always going to be here is me. You know, I have to like me. I have to invest in me. I have to invest in me the same way I invest in other people. And you know, in the beginning, it was maybe I have to do this for other people, right? I have to do this to be a good mom for my sons. I have to do this to be a good daughter for my mom. So partially, you know, maybe it was a little forced, but I've also learned it's one of those things when you do it, it's reinforced and it feels so good. And you're like, yes, this is it. This is what I need. So I think that was part of it too, you know, asking for that help, getting the help I needed. And that brought people closer. That helped me realize my worth when I asked for the help and people were there. And people were saying things like, I've been wanting to help for forever. I wish you'd asked years ago. You know, all the things that you've done for other people. So I think that was a real wake-up call for me too, was that people want to help. It's not a burden on them.
I think that's a very powerful thing to say because, you know, I've said this on numerous shows when a friend or loved one loses someone so close to them, oftentimes I want to help, but you don't know what to say. You kind of freeze up. And I just want to encourage anyone who has a friend or someone that has suffered a serious loss to be there for them and ask them, how can you help? I think it's a very powerful thing and an important thing to do. So thank you for sharing that. Caroline also, our wonderful Caroline, says, Alex made all of our lives better. I will never forget his laugh and his endless love of snacks at camp. Camp TLC loves you. It's beautiful, Caroline. Another question for you, Amelia. What advice would you give to those parents who have lost a child and are feeling lost and hopeless in their lives? What would you tell them for people who have just lost their child?
That it's okay, that all of these feelings you're having are okay. There's no bad feelings. There's no rule book to this. You know, grief is so complicated. And then when you add in, you know, it's completely unnatural. It's unnatural for a parent to bury their child. That is not the way that life is supposed to progress. And it's okay to admit that. You know, it's okay to have those feelings, to be angry, to be resentful, to have all of those feelings. But at the end of the day, you have to do those things to take care of yourself. And I mean, I'm saying that because it took me, you know, it took me a while of other people doing for me and helping me do. I mean, I literally had friends coming over and feeding me and, you know, showering me and, you know, doing those things that we forget can be really, really hard to do. But that's okay. That's okay. That's a major loss. And it's okay to feel that and to go through those emotions. And it's okay to cry. And it's okay to do all of those things and be angry. It's okay to feel your feelings. I mean, I think that's the biggest thing. And I think the other part is it's okay to ask for help. You know, that is another big part of this. You know, after I lost Alex, I had a therapist quit on me. You know, she was like, you know, I think this is too much for me.
Wow.
And I was in this moment of, I'm too broken for professional help. You know, what do I do with that? And what I did was reported that person to the medical board and called up 3 of my girlfriends, and we all got together and we looked up other therapists and we cried it out, and they held me together until I found somebody else to talk about it professionally. Because that was, you know, that was the realization of, I need this help. So I think, you know, that's a big part of it is ask for the help. This is the time when people are going to be there most. Use that. And remember your child, you know, however you want to remember that child, however you want to hold them close. You know, it's been 7 months. I sleep with Alex's blanket every night. If you talk to me in a year, it'll probably be the same. And that's okay. It makes me feel close to him.
Do you feel like it's getting any easier getting back your life?
You know, it's not any easier or harder. It's just completely different. It's just completely different. You know, it's emptier without Alex here. He filled my cup so much. So I wouldn't say it's harder or easier. You know, we had some really hard days, but they were really important days, and they made us who we are and who we were. So, you know, does it hurt less every day? Do I think about, you know, that moment a little bit less every day? Yes. You know, as we go on, I can start to see that there is a whole life ahead of me without my boy. But there are still days where I wake up and it feels like that day all over again. And that's the grace of telling myself that's okay. You know, that's okay to have that day.
Amelia, was this your first significant loss?
You know, I've lost grandparents. I lost a sibling who was an infant when I was a child. I've had losses in my life, but I think, you know, the difference was I had grieved for Alex so many times. You know, there were so many moments that I didn't think, you know, he was going to stay. And I had grieved for him so many times that when he was actually gone, that grief was so huge. It was undigestible. So I think, you know, I guess it's a little bit about breaking it down and knowing yourself.
I wanted to highlight a comment from Luna. seems like a friend of yours, who said, "You continue to amaze me and be an inspiration over our 25 plus year friendship."
My people are out today. I
They
love
are out
What love
there.
and support. Yeah.
Yes. And then there was another comment that said, "You have great friends, Amelia." That's
I
from Lena.
really do.
Taj, was there anything else you wanted to ask Amelia, or I know
I'm
I
just
was
thankful
asking
for
all the
your
questions.
strength.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah. Okay, Amelia, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna wrap up this discussion and talk. But before I do so, again, and I'm gonna do this in 5 minutes or 3 minutes whenever we finalize. But I again want to just thank you for being strong, for being brave. I cannot imagine going through what you are going through. You are a world-class mother. It's so apparent. I want to make sure you know that and feel that. It's so apparent on your face. And from the last talk to this talk, you are just amazing. And I want you to know that we, as a foundation, are here for you. Obviously, your friends are here for you, but we are here for you too. Anything you want to discuss or about, please know you have an open platform and a group of people that will be here to support you always. Please know that. Um, Now I have prepared you prior to us starting that up to a minute. And if you want 2 minutes, you're the first guest that we are saying this to. You can take 3 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever you want, Amelia. The world is yours. But I want to make sure you have a minute to talk about anything you want to talk about. It could be your favorite cooking recipe, your favorite song. It could be anything Amelia wants to talk about. What do you want to leave our community with?
I want to leave the community with how important self-care is, and to encourage everybody to take that time, really sit and think about what's important to you. Think about your core values, your morals, what you want for the people around you. Think about it in terms of the golden rule. All the things that you want for other people are the same things that you should want for yourself, and they're okay to ask for. So I think my final note for everybody is that you are absolutely worth whatever it is that you need. And don't let it take something like a crisis to make you realize that you haven't been giving yourself the care and the love that you need. Because self-care is community care. That's how we take care of other people, is by taking care of ourselves. And especially now, after coming through a pandemic, we need to take care of each other more than ever. You know, that's what made my boy's life so full, was the love that he gave to other people and the beautiful love that he got back. So take that time and realize that you are absolutely worth whatever it is that you need.
It's beautiful. I usually wrap up after that, but I just want to share more love your way. Yeah, from Angel, you're so strong, Amelia, sending you love and light. Christine says, Amelia, we love you. You're a rock star. Patty says, so sorry for your loss, Angel. Jennifer says, thank you, Amelia. Feel the calm that we are all sending you. Georgina says, God bless your family, Amelia. Stay strong. You are wonderfully brave. Catherine says, love you, Amelia. Patty says, continue to heal and God bless you, Amelia. And there are many, many, many more that I probably shouldn't have started this, because now I'm going to upset some that I didn't highlight them. But Denise says, thank you, Amelia, for sharing your loss and grief with us. Love to you and your family. Amelia, once again, thank you so much for being brave. I can't imagine what you are going through, and for you to be able to come on just with this just happening is a true testament of your brave and strength and your desire to help those out there. We will randomly get messages months later how specific episodes have helped them heal from people who aren't necessarily in our community, and I have a feeling this episode's going to do that plenty. So on behalf of them, behalf of my brother, behalf of our foundation, I want to thank you for blessing all of us. We send you so much love and a huge hug to you and your family. And I hope, again, you know we are here for you.
You're helping so many, so thank you so much.
And thank you guys for everything that you do, for having me on not once but twice to share the story of my boy.
You are more than welcome. You are more than welcome. And we want to make sure we try our hardest to make sure Alex level joy lives on and is spread throughout the world. So, Amelia, we love you and thank you again, okay?
Thanks, guys.
Everyone else, we will see you guys next Wednesday at 1 p.m. Please be safe and love your loved ones as tight as you can. And always, always, always be grateful for life and just spend your time with your loved ones. Adios, everyone. See you guys soon.